Great, because my presentation is focused on LSP, but probably freelancers will be interested as well. The key message that I would like to convey is that also LSP should run quicker, significantly quicker, because if you look at the stats of translation market, it is 17% growth thanks to A and M&A, and it's not bad, but inflation in Ukraine is 9.8%. So if the company grows for 10.8, it means it stays at the same place it was before. And the second piece of news is that Ukrainian hryvnia is growing. It's good for Ukraine, but the internal market of translation in Ukraine that is paid in hryvnia, it's rather small, and the significant share of translation companies' revenue is revenue in foreign currency. It means that if you look from the peak, hryvnia is 10% more stable, and if company gets foreign currency, it means that the number of money they received and they can't spend is 10% decreased. So just to stay in the same place, you need to grow 20% a year minimum. Otherwise, the company will stagnate very quickly. Here we can see someone trying to catch his train, and this train is quicker than the person. And the key question here is how to do it. It's obvious that if we do the same, it won't change, because if you do the same, you get the same results. But there are few options, and one of them and if you do it right, you can increase revenue. There is a big industry of startups. Speaking about 2018, now I mean startups with venture investments. This money is given by investors to let the company grow quicker. Last year there were 10,000 deals for the total amount of $200 billion that they're ready to spend for their growth. We are interested in the company's NRA or NRB, and on this round the companies get money. Usually they get money to develop on the external markets, and for that they need localization. But if you look at them, these companies bring a lot of money. Average deal is $70 million, round B is 17 million. Usually this money is received for 1 year, for 2 years. Correspondingly, it's very easy to calculate that the company in round B spends about $1 million amount. It means they spent a lot. And that is the goal of all these companies. It is IPO of Zoom. All of them want to be on the round 3, and after that to go for IPO, and after that to crop the harvest of their labor. But to come to IPO, and more than 19 companies that could do it, they work on different markets and they need localization for that. Why they are called good customer? First of all, they have 50 billions. That is the amount of money that the companies received just in 2018 on round A or round B altogether. Correspondingly, they're not very sensitive to price. There is no difference for them to pay for translation to 10, 20, maybe $40 per page, because their only one goal is to grow. And startup evaluation depends on the speed of their growth. It's principle in this. And the second, these clients don't grow. Look at this slide, please. This is number of companies who got Series A. This one is Series B. So the half of them are on the Series B. And you know, when they come from one series to another one, it varies in 10 times and 20 times, but usually it's about 3 times. So the half of the companies had a growth of 3 times. And if they grow, the requirements in growth are bigger as well. And approximately half of the companies will survive till Series C. This third, they order translation all the time. What do I mean by that? Let's look what they translate. These companies have two main tasks, two main directions of translation. In general, companies, especially startups, evaluate every act from the point of view of revenue growth, and based on it they select what to do. And two things are impacting revenue. First one, it is a product they make. In these 4,000 startups, half of them are doing the development of software and localization, and the second half can do medicine, for instance, but usually these startups are based on some IT platform. So formally they are part of medical sector, but still they have platform to communicate with their client. So when you need to translate some product, it is required when you renew the product, and before the development cycle was longer. It was for 1 year. After that there is a new version. After that it's localized. But now most of the companies work on Scrum methodology. This Scrum is making the renewals so often to give the product to the customer maximum fit to his or her needs. That is the release of Smartsat. We have 10 releases this year. Every second Thursday we have a release of a new version. Every Thursday you can see some new functions. Correspondingly, as the speed is very important for these companies, they need minimum time for translation. And translation is made not when the new version is ready, but before that. Here you can see the development cycle. There is a sprint, 2 weeks. During these 2 weeks something is produced, number of features is defined, and the development team can do it in 1 day, in 1 week, in 1 month, and when it's ready it is sent for translation. And when all the features are ready and the new version is ready, we don't want to waste time on translation to keep the cycle of the development shorter. Second part is the content. Content is made by marketing. In these companies, marketing departments are usually huge. Usually there are 40 people in the team out of 150 people. And 50 people in development team, so they are approximately the same in their size. So let's come back to marketing. It produces the content, and it is important for the customer to take a decision to purchase, because he needs about 10 contacts with content to buy a product. And marketing is a kind of content factory, generating it all the time. And this content is produced to make these 11 contacts. It's a kind of a chain. And on every link, client should get the portion information that will bring him to the next step, to take a decision to buy it. In the development, if you delay localization, it will bring to the delays in in using of this product by the client from other markets. And if client doesn't get this communication in his or her language, he or she cannot take a decision about purchase, and the company will lose this client. It is also interesting if you look at A or B companies, the average cost of A is 20 million, B it's about 60. So in 1.5 years, companies should grow for 40 million. This math is simple, and you can see that if company is delayed just for 1 day, if just for 1 day they didn't do anything to increase their cost, every day cost about $100,000 for them. And if you can save at least 1 day for a company, 1 day a month, you will add them $100,000. I want to say that it's not. I just want to highlight one more time how important it is to make it faster. And there are millions of formats of marketing, content, letters, news, some posts, localization formats separately, and part of them can be translated to some other languages because there can be few parts of the product that are used in different countries. And usually the content comes in small portions. It comes all the time, sometimes few times a day. And it's important for the company to make this cycle continuously and urgently, not to delay their growth. Usually it is the only one thing they think about. And here, the time of translation is important for them, and they're selecting the companies that can make this process uninterrupted. Here it's important to understand how we can make it uninterrupted. At the moment, a lot of translation companies don't work by email. Sometimes they send the assignments to translators by emails if they don't use some cloud solutions. In the same way, they are waiting for translator to receive it. After that, he translates it and he sends it back. It's a rather long chain, a lot of manual actions, and if some agreement is translated with a deadline 1 week, and these 30 minutes that the sending takes are not critical, but if it is localization, when every hour, every day some content comes and you need to assign a translator to do it, it's not viable because the process servicing will be longer than the translation itself. For instance, you can get this kind of email from the client. That's a very typical assignment for localization because there are a lot of files in these assignments, and after that you will get one more letter, and if you will have manual processing of these requests, it won't be convenient. So to organize this process, you need to make integration combining all these actions. That is the job of project manager usually. There are a few options how you can do it. Probably I'll give you an example of one of the company working on our platform. That is Aeroflot company. They are localizing the news through us. I think they translate them into 8 languages, and the process itself happens in Smartsat. And when they get some piece of news, it is sent to the smart card, and automatically they're sending invitation to all the translators fixed to this part of job. And after that, the translator confirms the orders. After that, they press the button ready, and this piece of news is sent to the place where it can be published. And it can take just up to 15 minutes. And it's not possible if you would use email for this kind of assignments. And at the same time, we had another company, it was called BLS. And for Aeroflot, it was very important, this system. They selected BLS because of that. And after that, they gave them some other share of job. So, but how to shape the systems? Usually, these companies have API. And do you need to explain what is API? Okay. APIs then, and you can build them yourself. For that, you can find a team of developers, or probably you have some internal resources, or you can use our connectors, because we have connectors already for all popular CMS. I mean, Drupal, CMS are the systems of content management for the websites, where this process can be aligned systematically when it goes to Smartsat and then it goes back. And also there are connectors for Git and Mercurium. That is a part of product localization. All of them are version control version. When the developers are writing some code, they're creating the new code, they create the new feature, and after that it is sent to Smartcard, and translator can start translating it, and at the same time, and also it can return to the same place but in another language. All our connectors are free of charge, and you can use them. You can find them with free access. If the connectors don't work, if you need some specific part of this client, you also can do it, or we will do it if you see that it is required for the big number of companies.
It's important to understand that we clearly see that not all translation companies are easily dealing with some theoretical parts, because there are lots of difficult developments there. And if you are our paying clients, or you are subscribed for us and you pay, so we are ready to support you with negotiation with your clients, how to just align these connectors and to develop your competence in this sphere. How to search such clients. So maybe you're interested in this aspect of work. Maybe if you're interested in localization and startups, there is one simple method. Maybe the logic is the following. You should search a place where they actually have fun and work. So the space is unlimited. You could think about it, you could think over it. Maybe this could be conferences. Not always you should visit conferences, actually. But for example, if a conference takes place, I don't know how it's pronounced correctly, Novak and NHH startups. So you could just visit websites, download their leaflet, and there are 100 pages of startups with all contact data, with focal points, and there's just a trunk of valuable information, and use it and understand. Sometimes where also investor data is defined there, and you could use it, and there are a lot of conferences all over the world. If in general, as to the market share of these startups, around 40% or 50 even just go to the USA, 35% go to China, and all other conferences and startups just go are located all over the world. So the market share is like this. Here. So in general, I've told you about one of the methods how you could run faster than others. And maybe if you run faster, you will be a champion sometime in the future. If you are interested in more detailed information about connectors, you could just fill in necessary template, just going by this QR code, and we'll share with you information. Thank you very much. Any questions left? Hello, I have worked with Smartcat. I think it was an NBRP project. It was very convenient. Convenient tool. Unfortunately, when I tried to shift, there was some problems. There was such problem with the cloud, and we didn't open it, and there was deadline, but still we managed to do it. In the very beginning of your presentation, you have made slide with profit or something like this about 33 million of some figures. So about $1.5 million of dollars. Yes, actually. Yes, it's information on the translation.rating. You could go visit there and read this information. So I'm one of those clients. I work with those clients like Moravia, and it was purchased by RWS, and they constantly are dealing with some download of some settings on the server and then sharing the settings with different translators. And there are $130 million of this company. So that's great, huge monster with big structure. Could we say in terms of global company work, whether this model of work could be shared in terms of staff, in terms of support, in terms of operation of different division and branches of all the world, because we need 24/7 support. Thank you very much for your question. Maybe any company of any level could afford this work, because if we look at any troubles or bottlenecks that any company made, so you should find a translator who could perform this project. Because if there are some orders, usually a bottleneck or a blocker usually is just lack of orders. So if you have orders, then that's not a problem to find translators to just to do this work. If you know how to sail, you could just sail this work for other language companies, translation companies, because in these countries and in Ukraine in particular, there's a model more popular when translators are freelancers. But if we look on Europe or the USA, then usually translation companies work more with other companies, not with the freelance translators. And if we look at the slide, major part of these orders on profits is usually orders from different international companies. They just delegate their powers to other companies and translators. So if we speak about are there any limits in terms of sources? I think no, because yes, you could of course spend some time searching appropriate companies, those companies with which it would be appropriate and comfortable for you to work, and which could provide necessary appropriate level of quality. The second issue, as to the technical aspect, here we speak about technical expertise. Do you have it or not? In order to just negotiate with clients and to understand which functions you could actually provide or services to the clients, or maybe some expertise. This expertise you could go just in purchase. In our case, we could share our expertise, but it costs $1,000 per month. So this is a premium package of Smartsat. It includes not only expertise but also premium support, and we for purpose define such a high level of price, because it really takes a lot of resources from us. So $1,000. This level of a small company, maybe if such company has clients, and it could allocate such a portion from the budget for this support, and you could just there is support in our package, and if you need such support, you could just connect anytime and ask for the support. Also, maybe you should know English in order to communicate with such clients, but in terms of some bottlenecks, I don't think about such. I can't define them. If you have competence in sales, then usually it's the most problematic issue for a company to develop on the market. Have I answered your question? Egor, I have also a question. So just recently in the Russian market of translation companies, there was just a merge of EBA Traktata, Allatera, that became one of the the biggest in turnover and one of the five companies in Europe. So if I understand correctly, the main CAT tool is SmartCat. Did Allatera have successful experience engaging clients from such startups of the A or B series that in future Allatera would have performed projects in Smartcat? Did you have such successful cases? Maybe I could answer it if would have worked in Avatar, but I don't know about clients of Avatar. So I know some cases, those that are public ones, but it's difficult to answer any question. Maybe, for sure, I doubt it because just 4 days ago I made conclusions that maybe they didn't think about it. Actually, the key problem of translation companies that I could define that they don't know how to scale their sales. So they try to base and build their sales on some personal contacts, and these sales are usually not so valuable ones when you sell a product, but sales more of expert nature. So there are some personal contacts and orders just last long time. So you've just met a client, and in several years, this person becomes actually your client. And there is there is no clear understanding where to go, to which person, what you should say to it, and in order this person becomes a client and buys your product, and how to do it, and what is the demand of the client. And that's why actually I have been thinking a lot on this topic because I work in sales, and if my clients grow, my profit will grow because the more our clients gain. But it's another story. I will tell you more about it. So I always think how I could deal with this problem. So maybe that's the best option for these recent days I have understood. So how do you think? What qualities, criteria, requirements should be of any company to enter on this market? So maybe it should be MLB company. So this company should provide fund services of localization of these startups, of this software for multilingual segments for many languages. So maybe what else? Sales manager in the USA or any else? Now, we just received round A, and we are spending it for our development in Europe and US. But what I have noticed, firstly, Americans, for them, it's very important, quite important. Ideally, it should be an American. The person with whom they communicate, it should be an American. It could be not an American, but with perfect English. This is very important, the critical aspect, because if English is a good one, but not ideal, for sure the work will not be successful with them. As to the MLB, yes, you need to have possibility and resources to implement it for several languages. As to the question, I think you need to spend a lot of time for preparatory work, but there is no big need to structure the process to become MLB till you have clients, because I think that it's not very difficult to communicate, negotiate, considering how many friends you have or acquaintances in different countries. So to get agreement with them as soon as you have project to analyze, to implement it. And for example, if you have a project, you could just in several weeks implement it and translate in several languages. Maybe you will gain anything in it, you would gain anything, and the profit is zero or almost zero, but that's like a try, it's a start. Don't be afraid of this. Don't be afraid of finding several different methods how to pitch them and what should be pitched in order these companies buy and purchase your products. I have never heard any cases that, for example, a big client comes and they don't know what to do and they didn't have enough time to work with this client. But as these clients, they don't have any problems with money, so you could just raise your budget as high, quite high, and you could by means of this money, you could solve a lot of problems, your internal problems. Also, in terms of searching executors, for example, a small Ukrainian company hired a American sales manager for $100,000, and this sales manager managed to just buy a huge amount of contracts from some startups. And for example, here I was such amount of content, and for 3 years ahead, but they don't know how to do it, what to do with it. So SmartCut as a technological solution, could SmartCut produce enough resources and services for this incredibly high rates of production and scale up? So, for example, to search for translators in unknown languages, just fulfillment of necessary level of quality of translation. Now, SmartCut could automate the whole process of content sharing. As to the translator search, it's a different question, because how should we choose a translator in the unknown language pair? It's quite a problematic one, and it depends on probability. So there is no mechanical methods. Yes, of course, there are some methods, but it could be a calculation error, a human error. So it depends on human factor, and that's more about this question is more about the following. So we have some instruments, some tools how to search for translators, how to choose the translators. So we could just choose a test, send to translators, and then translator performance, and we could just cover this segment. So we have a huge base of translators. We have 50,000 of translators, and around almost in each language pair you could find translator, especially in those language pairs where European companies work, and so it's quite a little time needed to find a translator. But how to evaluate such executor, such translator? But it's more about of internal kitchen or internal methods. So if you don't have this expertise, maybe you should search for expertise and somehow try to get it, because really you need to invest time in it, and it's quite a long-term process. But you could purchase expertise in any country. In any country, you could find just tens of LSPs that work in this specific language pair, and they just know a lot about this expertise and have a lot of knowledge. So I think that's more safe way to work. Any questions left? Maybe the last question. Please tell us more about next plans, next development plans of SmartCut. What is the strategic path of SmartCut? Do you have any goals for scaled releases? So just prepare yourself, please. Okay. Our planning is done on a quarterly basis, and there is a general plan, yearly plan, but I think after the end of the quarter it would be changed. We have a lot of information shifts, and during one cycle we collect a lot of information, feedbacks, and if we could see that something really, that was a boom for something, then we could just shift the focus and work in another approach, another branch. What we are doing right now is, and what could be interesting for you is maybe automatization of training of translators, as it's if you work in SmartCut, for example, a translator is assigned with a client, so you just identify that this is a project for this client, and translator is assigned with this client. Just choosing a translator, you could see that you need 20% of time of project managers, and this is to search a translator, to assign, to fix, and those translators with whom you have already worked. And if you have your own database of translators, you could just right now you could press a button, and all translators that are assigned with these clients receive special email. And the first translator who presses the button that I'm ready, I agree, will be working with this client. And this is a method that is applied right now. But we are redeveloping it, and we have such number, some of executors and translators. And I have heard actually today holistic approach and holistic evaluation from Fedor and Leonid today. So we decided also to use this holistic evaluation, and our editor, after checking the translation, just puts these two scores as to the adequacy and quality. I think it's called right now. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm mistaken, or so. A translator has a score, and And this methodology will include the score. And thirdly, we have information also when this translator is free or not free, because translator could work with several companies, not only this one, and company not always knows, this company not always knows what is the workload of this client. And if this translator works with this with smart card, we could know the availability of this translator. So if this translator, for example, is busy for the next 3 days, the system will not send email for this translator. So this is one of those problems that we are working need and plan to implement this process of choosing the translator. Then the second part relates to automatization of payments. Our process is automated partially. We have some bottlenecks and some problematic issues that we tried to solve and expand, but maybe it's more actual for Europe, for European companies, for which we spent our 7 millions in order to achieve round B. And right now we have made a connector and with Sekirov, and you have connector with Alisa, and yes, we have a connector with Alisa. But I mentioned actually the new ones, and we have a connector with Protons, Quarter-M, and IP. So IP could also, you could just define connector. Any company could define a connector, develop connector, so this connector is being implemented in the payment sector, but we plan to implement it in the automatization of translation process. Thank you. So actually, as to the topics that we have started during lunchtime. Why Ivanov has so great smile and bright teeth? Actually, yes, almost. Actually, in ProZ, Smart Card, in any systems where structural, there are some labels, asterisks, and there is a structure of translators, and that provides a score of translators. Very often there are some mistakes. For example, a translator could have a great number of asterisks or great number of just five scores, and everything is okay. But providing a test for him or he just failed to do it. I understand that it could be done, but taking into account different features, peculiar features. Not all the translators would like it.
It optimized too much the recruitment process. If it is smart card, if it had some test on basic directions and evaluated translator itself, did you have such plans, and what do you maybe you think about them for the future? I understood your question. Yes, we did discuss it. Now I have 2 numbers. First of them is very interesting. 88% of the translators hired, and we had testing process. 88% hired in smart card were not tested in any way. They were hired based on the information in marketplace. But its evaluation, but the evaluation depends on the successful pass of the test, because he has a page that he or she was tested, and some company was satisfied by this test. And to be discussed automatic testing. Technically we don't want to become translation company. We just want to connect translation company, customers, and translators. And the options we had: the testing of translators with automatic check of their test. But here there are some issues, and we don't want to invest time on this. First of them, these tests will be in internet very soon, and we will need to update them. Second, automatic check on big data will give good information about the average quality of translation in Smartsat, but they couldn't evaluate this person individually. And for translation company is not a solution. That's why we have a separate tool of translator testing. This company can download this test itself to send it back and to understand is he good or bad, but still there is no some common solution. Probably we will get it later, but this story with listings depends a lot from data set. When we have more data, when it won't be 5 evaluation of this translated but 150, we can consider this data is relevant and we won't have this problem. We just need to grow to solve it. And probably we will adjust testing methodology, because now, yes, we have these 5 stars. But if there is one mistake for 100 pages document and someone gives him 1 star for this one mistake, there is no guidelines. What does it mean? 1 star, 3 stars, 5 stars, which criteria to use to evaluate them? That's what we understood when we made this internal evaluation of the reviewers. It is used just in-house without open access. It's a kind of internal database of the company inside the big smart card database. And everyone who wants to evaluate the translator can do that. And then we just scale up this story. So companies have different requirements, and smart card doesn't want to push back some translators who would satisfy someone, but other company won't be satisfied by them. Maybe smart card can be a kind of arbiter in this process, because, for instance, if he passed smart card test, it means that this translator is a Mercedes. I understand that is an adventurous idea. I understand your point, but probably it's not our business. It is a business of some translation company, not of the platform. Yeah, we have a kind of trial process. When company orders a translators, they are happy with his or her quality, we can become a mediator and to take a decision on him or her. So we make a kind of peaceful agreement between them. Probably they won't be satisfied by the decision, but at least this decision will be final. But if we need to assess 150,000 translators, there will be a lot people unhappy with the results, so better not to do it. Maybe you will do it better than us. Thank you very much. I left time for questions on purpose. I wanted to ask you about this new function. You told that in the future it would be possible to propose the work to all the translators. You mean it's for the all smart card or only for company database? You mean to give the work to translator through smart card? You told that the system would send in automatic way. Okay, I got it. So there are 2 levels. There is marketplace, all the translators. There is and there is a page of the company, and the company adds the translators into it or transfers their own translators to the smart card, and it is a kind of eternal pool of the translators, desktop publishers, reviewers, all the people involved to the project, and these functions work work according to my actions. It doesn't work as marketplace in general because priorities are different. If there is no one available from your internal pool, every company has their own process to test the new translators, or 80% will select the one with the most beautiful avatar and a lot of stars. So it won't be the selection, internal pool or general database. It's not clear so far how to do it with general database. It's not that clear for us how to do it. Probably we will do it, but we have no plan so far to do that. Use the mic, please. The speaker doesn't use the mic. My question is about formats. No surprise that every system of machine translation is trying to become universal. It doesn't matter what files were received in which format. They don't want any other system to interchange them. For instance, if there are some files in SDL Trados transferred to MemoQ, so on and so forth. What about smart card? If we look at the list of companies we see here, subcontractors, how convenient is use smart cards if clients want them in Trados? Thank you for your question. So talking about different cards, yes, we can work with them, but Trados doesn't describe their formats. I'm not sure that all the developers know how they're going to do it. It's a kind of black box. They wrote it down, they download it, and after that there is no guarantee that it will work in a perfect order. It will be downloaded, and the comments still will be there in some time. And there are some rather specific tags that are used only by them. So it works, but with some nuances, and we have no goal to make a card that will solve all the possible problems. In particular, to support other formats of other cards. It's easier for us to make project management system integrated into Trados, and if clients wants to work in Trados, so it will be sent in Trados and it will be translated in Trados or MemSource. We consider card as one of the components of the system. We have the management of translation project, we have cards, we have marketplace, different parts that can be used by everyone, and after that it will get some average weighted effect. Egor, that black box that you mentioned, I thought they were having XLIF format. So if there are SDL XLIF files, it's clear there is a standard and they can be processed. It is updated all the time, and they don't notify on all these processes. But also we have the client who sent us XLEAF, but after that it was XLEAF with some tags. We asked from where are these tags, and they told that it's from XLF. After that we downloaded to Trados and then something else, and we asked them why you're doing that. In general, it's not needed in all the cases, but we support most of cases. Any other questions? Probably that's all. 10 minutes break then, and we'll continue.